every time. All right? All right, we're connected. So, hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. And as always, hello, Twitch. All are welcome to chat, send messages. Let's get a discussion going. Most importantly, I think right at the moment is we've set up some, we've got a little upload going to the cloud. We're uploading stuff to the cloud, and it's already done, so we're good. We're gonna remove 95844. It's gonna be from our desktop. We had something from we had something taking up a lot of memory. And now it's not. Can you believe that? All right, so where do we go from here? We have memory on our desktop. That means we can start recording our screen grab. We're not going to do display 1 nor 2, but display 3 is going to record. And then today, I thought I was going to sort of buy time for that upload by showing some artwork, books of artwork, things like that. But we can dive right in today. Now, today, since we are, what's the word? Since we are working hard today, or hardly working, we're going to be working on the background. For many, including myself, that means boredom. And so we're going to liven it up. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to map in the background surrounding his torso and head and get the blue jeans going. I'm going to regret not having my little for the bottom of his palette here. But we're just going to map that stuff in. We are going to... What we'll find is that it's easier to make site size comparisons. In other words, to flick your eye back and forth when the background is mapped in. One of the sort of downsides to putting the background in, at least from a viewer's perspective, is A, it's boring. B, it looks kind of like the more accurate we get to the reference image, the more people sort of see it in thumbnail view and are like, oh, I don't understand. He's painting? This is just as like a photo. And I'm not saying that because I'm bragging. I'm saying it because when you look up close, you'll see that it's a painting and not just a photo. But when you're looking at it on streaming software, often it's like thumbnail sized, or it's too small to see the painterliness of it. So anyway, just some things to think about, and I'm going to get something set up with Facebook, make sure the live stream is going, and then I'll be right back. All right, so live stream is up. All right. I guess in some ways this is a good day to chat. So again, what I'll do is invite our pals at YouTube and Facebook to chime in, say hello, because we're going to be working hard. Let's grab our stream. We're going to stream it up. And we're going to share it. Because sharing is caring. Okay. Share to let's paint the painter of happy trees. Okay, share now. So, what does this all mean? Well, yesterday I actually was planning on streaming, but we didn't make it. And here's why. We didn't make it because, oh shoot, hang on. Here we go, the daily wrestling match. It's gonna be Kyle's Real Oils. It's a bristle brush. What is this? Here I go. Let's do full screen mode. And zoom in and just see. Is this the brush we usually use? All right, so the reason I asked that, excuse me, just a moment. The reason I ask if that's the brush that I normally use is because yesterday I was working on an illustration for a client that took precedence over my live stream. And so apologize if you were looking forward to the next stream, but had to take a moment to thank our sponsors. That was fun. And maybe at some point on my Instagram, I didn't do a time lapse of it, but it was portrait related. And I actually was using watercolor brushes, which was just wild. Like, I am not a good watercolorist. I have no practice doing watercolor. I've done one or two commissions, like I did a painting of a cat once in watercolor. I was bad at it. It was like I was using ink or something. Like it's a totally different thought process with watercolor because you're just layering. And by that I mean you put one layer down and then the layer on top of it has to be notably, anything you put on top of subsequent layers do not cover. There's no covering power with watercolor, and that's because it's transparent. So every layer you put down is going to be obviously the ones underneath are going to still be visible, and you don't mix, you don't really blur edges. Now, obviously with Photoshop watercolors, there are many different rules, but it just reminded me, you can blend and blur forever with Photoshop watercolor, but I'm just not used to the idea of putting a watercolor stroke down and knowing that really with watercolor, it's like one stroke, one sort of, the minute you oh, there's Faye Helmet. What's happening, bud? Hey, Krabby. I'm yapping about watercolor. I had a whole day off yesterday because I was working on my on a client project, which was really ultimately fun, but it was hard work dusting off my limited watercolor skills. Have you ever done watercolor? Any kind of transparent media? I don't know. It's a little like drawing, and it shouldn't be because it's wet and it moves around, and I think of it like drawing. So maybe I keep saying maybe we'll do this and that, but I think one day I'll get into those other brushes. But it opened me up to the power of brushes, Photoshop brushes. Like, these things are no joke. Like, they really do emulate quite well a lot of the abilities of these different media. But in the end, I was so, what's the word? I tried to do a watercolor at first. It started looking like an anime type thing, which, I wanted it was a portrait, and it was supposed to be a watercolor portrait, digital. But anyway, oh gosh, hold on a second. Potential spam. I've got to check out what's new with the potential spam. Nope. Something urgent. Anyway, let's get into the zone here. That was part of it yesterday. Like, it took me a while to get into the kind of zone, the feeling of watercolor. And once I'd learned that, it was too late, kind of. Like, I learned how the watercolor kind of works and could be expected to work. And in the middle of the project, I just decided we could start over, but I didn't have enough time to start over because there was a deadline on it. And instead of starting completely over, I used the base that I'd gotten so far, and then I went to kind of mixed media where I put in colored pencils on top. And that really saved the day. And so I learned how to use watercolors, and I got something that really worked for the project, even though it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be when I started out. So it was a big day, and I'm happy to be back to my comfort zone here of painting with oil paint, albeit digital. So, what's going on? Oh, your Faye Helmet is burbing. So when they're back, we'll find out what's going on with their work. I saw the I saw the I saw the Mandalorian Cherry Coke. That was cool. Cherry Coke and Pepsi, it's a real toss up for me. I really could go with either. I think Cherry Coke is probably my favorite in terms of sodas, pops, Cokes, wherever you're from. So let's find out. Where was it? Was it yesterday that we had quite an interesting discussion? I think it was, no, not yesterday. It was 2 days ago. Don't you just love this background? I mean, the background's so cool because it's easy. I can't just do one color even though I want to. Anybody else getting the seasonal allergies? So, look, backgrounds, a necessary evil. And they don't have to be evil. We're just filling in puzzle pieces. And the good news is the puzzle pieces all look pretty much the same in the background, so it's up to you how you want them to sort of dance around. Look at this. This is kind of nice. This blue, sort of light blue, lives here. Happy trees. And we can like hit that. See that? There's a little blue here. Let's hit it like that. Okay? It lives there. These are like happy little clouds. I mean, what better way to celebrate the master of happy trees? So there's been a lot going on lately. We've got plenty to work on today. Drop me a line in the chat if you want to discuss next steps or what I'm doing here or why I'm doing it, anything like that. And I'm not a big salesperson, but I will say that it would, to get some chats going in the other platforms, because right now I'm streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are watching over there, give a shout and we can have kind of a whole network of discussion. And I will try my best to see who's chatting over there. I don't see anyone. Live chat. Hello, live chat. Anyone from the other worlds out there? Alerts, alerts. Oh my goodness. I just messed up. I messed it up. Well, anyway. Who knows? I think we can do this with or without chats from the other platforms. If you really want to chat, I'm here for you. Okay? Let's put in some happy clouds over here. We can really think of this like happy clouds. It's so nice to be back to oil after spending a day being like, whoa, like, what is this new medium? How does it work? Last time we were here, I had an exciting opportunity to showcase my own Canadian tuxedo. It was just the jacket piece, but I was glad I was able to break that out. Maybe we'll do that again at some point. Canadian driftwood. I was thinking that it might be kind of fun to do if I get super bored or we all get super bored, wouldn't it be fun to do a kind of Bob Ross like duet where we're painting Bob and Bob's painting trees, and you know, that might be some inspiring background music. But for now, we'll just go with what we stay within our comfort zone. What's wrong with comfort zone, right? We know how to do it. Let's do it. The amount of paint that you need to fill in a background of this size, you can see on one of the top pinned paintings in my Instagram has a huge swath of just dark background, which I really love that look. It's very, you know, as we talked ad nauseum 2 days ago, very 17th century. It's kind of what I'm inspired by when I paint portraits. That's my favorite era of portrait painting. And when I do that, I urge viewers to look at that painting, because those paintings at the top of my Instagram are... Wait a minute. I got paranoid again. Happens to me every time. Oh, I got the spooks. Okay, the last thing you want to do is have to do the background again. But I don't. What was I talking about? Yeah, big chunks of background with the same solid kind of color with like slight variations. You can't just put in one color. You have to modulate and all that, and it takes so much paint to fill in a background like that. But there we go. I'm just thinking over. I actually have a new painting to showcase. It's not gonna show up on my art page, but I think it might show up on my. I have a design business, graphic design, and I'd be eager to. You can find that stuff on my Instagram. But I want to share my new project on there. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. We are going to keep moving ahead. You'll see what happens when you do get into this. It really is like fluffy clouds. It's like the storm clouds in the mind emanating off the mind of the master. And things start to take shape. Okay. A little bit of Van Dyke Brown. All kinds of Van Dyke Brown here. You think Bob painted that background? He must have. I mean, that would be so cool. Like, why buy like a seamless backdrop when you could just, get some cotton and hit it? He probably painted this background. And where is it? These are the things that, like, I mean, before Bob Ross, really, I hate to sound like I'm like, oh, I was like ironically watching Bob Ross before ironically watching Bob Ross was cool. But I will brag a bit. Before Bob Ross came back to the mainstream, at least in any, media to speak of, I was wondering about getting your hands on a Bob Ross original. And I just sort of like Googled around, and it was very hard to find anything about it. I don't think I found anything. Because you'd think, well, especially during that time when it wasn't a huge resurgence of Bob Ross in the media, it was like almost impossible to find stuff. So the documentary revealed some of why that might be. These things are like in a vault somewhere. They're probably worth bajillions of dollars. Like if you just released one, like Sotheby's auction for like the first ever Bob Ross landscape. I mean, that thing's... But I mean, I would guess like at least 750K, if not more than that. Like some tech bro just has like the original Bob Ross sitting in his over his mantelpiece. Like, yeah, this is the first Bob Ross. If that's not a power flex, if that's not a flex, I don't know what is. But you know, it's not in my budget, but I think probably somebody should. The Bob Ross Institute or whatever is whoever the cruel business people who took over, and you know, the people who are continuing to take advantage of Bob Ross's good offices and good work. They're sitting on a gold mine, that's for sure. All right, let's zoom out. Pretty good, right? I like how the background's a little blurrier. Where are we now? All right, we're coming up on it. So often we're just sort of getting back into the zone, right? In just a little bit, here's what I think we'll do. Let's get down and into the Canadian tucks. It's going to be a lot harder than you think. We're going to zoom in. We're going to plaster in. Not, I don't know exactly where this edge is, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to know that it's going to be modulating from light to dark throughout. And you can go back and revisit. I don't know what this dark thing was that I put there, but it's not going to be helpful to me now. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, if anyone out there is interested in commissioning a custom portrait, who knows? Maybe we could collaborate on something. Give me a shout. Let me know if you are down. And part of what I would like to ultimately do is have like a Patreon and have a kind of, okay, like you can get prints of some of these or things like that. But another cool thing to offer would be like discounted portrait commissions, stuff like that. But we'll see. Is something for the future. Right now, a big part of this is just going to be going too crazy here. I say that whenever I say that, it's because I'm starting to go crazy. What was I talking about? Nothing important. Just talking about dreams and hopes and aspirations. Here again, let's get in here with this. Looks like something that we need to address. Or is it? Was that right? I don't know. This is definitely right. Let me get the zippity zip here. Anybody into hard rock? How about Motley Crue? I ask because we've been listening to a lot of that, and I've been putting out a lot of Motley Crue. I've been trying to learn some of the old classics. All right, we're painting Bob Ross's pelvis, like you do. We can zoom out, see what it looks like. You say, all right, just let's get this part under wraps. Here's a nice area to see how that's the same value almost as the jeans. Who knows if that's the same value as you'll see here. We'll fade this in a bit. Clouds, happy trees. Okay. And let's grab a little bit of this. Bobby Ross, Bobby Ross, painter of trees. Oh, Bobby, we just We owe you the world, don't we, Bob? Okay. Gosh, I remember on that portrait on my Instagram, you can see it. The jeans were really tricky because I kind of wanted to get like hyper realism there. And I think this time I might go for slightly a little bit less than that. That's going to be tricky. What say you? What do you think? Tricky? I want to get those darks. You really start to see a bit more of the, I don't know what you see, guys, but you can tell I start to get a little less enthusiastic. So, gosh, there's no way around it. You just got to keep plowing ahead. As hard as that is to do sometimes. Let's go hit some of these darker darks. Find the inseam here. There's another blast of highlight that comes out this way. And this way. Bob. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. It's Friday, isn't it? Happy Friday. Happy Friday from... Oh, there's a couple of baseball games that I want to watch today. I don't know what time they are. Yo. You know what? I'll bet you that's going to trigger my VOD. Yo. Yep. That's it? That's all it takes? It's happened before. I think they can get the sort of spacing between the big bass hits. But there was a bit of a Doppler effect on that. So you might not have exactly the right important elements. Okay, what is going on here? We've got the crease here as the leg joins with the pelvis. And here we go. I think that's what I did wrong. And then this, we'll have to see, but something like that. Dee-dee-dee-dee. So I think it was a good call to wait a bit. Like, the way the time lapse is going to work is we're going to have this section it's going to be zoomed out, and it'll be pretty quick. Because I can sort of sense nobody really wants to see. This is like the hard part where you just don't want to. You don't need to get into all this stuff. Definitely not a line there. Now we can zoom out, and we can really find some of these pathways. I am almost at a break time, but okay. Let's grab this and really find out what's going on here. Something like that. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not, I can't see that stuff. So something like that. And then you grab your dark here. And let's see. I'm trying to see if I'm getting into my chat box here. Any chats? Really hoping we can get a little chit chat going on YouTube, because we've got quite a lively chat on the Twitch, but YouTube is crickets. Okay, let's get moving on finalizing the denim down here and see if we can move on to more exciting pastures. Okay, we're gonna well, let's see. All right, let's get in here and really put this to bed, so to speak. You can see how this blurs up. And you'd be surprised how much green there is in a in the denim. Lots of green. You could see it there. Okay. A little fold that comes through here. Put that in. There's a bit of this sense of that vintage photograph. What's the word? You don't want this. You don't want to include all the little pops and like all these white faux pas in the photograph itself. Here, let's see. How's that? Better? Flick your eye back and forth, make the comparison, move on. I don't know if I did the right thing there, but it's better than nothing, right? Okay, we are at an hour, and I thank you for bearing with. I know this isn't the world's most exciting session, but I think we can kind of... I think what we're going to do is stop the screen record, and then we're going to keep the stream going. And just like we've said in the past, oh, weird. How am I going to do this? All right. Let's take a break. No, not like that. I'm going to do a 10-minute break. Starting soon. Unlock. Text. We're going to start at 10:14 Eastern. And we have some things to work on. We got to get over to the other computer or to the other monitor. But so give me 5 or give me 10. And thanks for joining. I'll be back. Excuse me. All right, we're gonna just do a couple of things here. One is we're gonna lose our this. We're gonna put our starting soon, and we're gonna lose our camera. So really bare bones here. All right, you can hear me? Can you see me? Can we record display 1? No. Display 2? No. Display 3. Let's record it. Let's record so you can hear me now, I know that, but we're not quite back. All right, there we are. We're going to be starting at 10:14 Eastern. This is still true as of now. Starting soon. So we got a new project actually. All right. Let's see if we can do this. The plan is to just start crushing the part of the painting we haven't touched. All right. Got some fuel. Wow, it's gonna be I don't know what it's gonna be, but we're gonna try our best. All right. A little bit of a disappointment there because my screen capture wasn't grabbing what I wanted it to. But that's okay, because it wasn't a huge deal. What is a huge deal is this. Look at the dark here. Look at whoever is styling this photo shoot knows exactly how to hit these background colors. See this? Boom. I don't know who did this, but instead of streaks, you can just and come on down into the corner here. Oh my goodness, what the? I didn't call for that yet. Oh, this layer's locked. Good to know. Giant brush. Giant brush. Giant brush. Giant brush. This brush is probably even bigger than the brush that Bob has in his paw there. And that'll take care of that pretty quickly. And let's find out what darks live up here. Hmm. We're going to hit it. Oh boy. I'm going to put our mic on hold for a little bit while we just address this. All right. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a... We had to manage some things. Right near Union Square, that's where we'll be. Look at these clouds. They're really happy clouds. Ooh, that's... You know, I don't know. I like the look of this background. See where it goes from transparent to opaque? It starts to feed in some of those titanium whites that we all look so forward to. You can sort of feed in this. Here there's a lot of titanium white. So you can see that it shifts from dark to light. From transparent to opaque. Now, what was Bob Ross in the Coast Guard, or what was his service branch? Just Army? What? He definitely chalked up some time on the boots on the ground. Sort of have that sense about him. All right, so look, there we go. We whacked in the background, and now it's time for the palette. So, with that in mind, we can find our biggest items. I'm a lefty. I don't know if anybody else out there is left-handed, but I wonder if that's having any impact on my brush choice, the way the brushes work here. Anyway, not something to really worry about now. We're going to start patching in color. We're going to start grabbing lights, grabbing darks. Excuse me. So this is where it gets a little meta, if you ask me. We're painting the painter's paints. Pardon the allergies. I mean, that's exciting, no? Painting the painter's paints. Love it. So, how do we do that? Well, it's just like painting anything else. You see it, you break it down into its components, try and keep the components as simple as possible while still adhering to their the forms. I just learned something pretty critical about Photoshop brushes, is that there's two directions you can paint with them. You can paint backwards and forwards. So took me a while to learn that, but here we are. That is not paint. This is a lovely little dark anyone else find that entertaining? Look here. Here's a swath of that titanium white. He's probably not allowed to use, certainly today he wouldn't be advertising the use of lead white, but just guessing that at some point he made the decision. Like, he has his own line of paints, and I know they don't have they have titanium white, because as we talked about before, like, that's what we all remember him talking about. Oh, wow. Honestly, if you decided to... Oh, boy. I don't think I can grab that. Busy. Here. There's that acrylic palette that he's got, that trademark acrylic palette. I don't use an acrylic palette, but I do use sand. I use a glass palette. And underneath it, ideally, this is a weird little kind of fun fact about painting that you might appreciate. You want your palette to be the same color as the canvas. So if you're painting on a white canvas, ideally you want a white palette, because then when you mix the color on the palette, you know better what it is going to look like on that white canvas. Now, since this is a white, since this is a gray canvas, look at this, first of all. Oh, boy. We got potential spam up and down. Okay. Hi, this is so-and-so from some business that you never even came close to engaging. Let's jump in here. Look at this streak of gray. Lives right about here. And then on either side, you'll see it has this nice swath of lighter gray. And that can kind of feed in here. And again, we're always looking back and forth. We're looking for how see that? See those little T-shaped things going on in there? I'm not obsessing about what the shapes look like. I'm kind of trying to I'm having to make a concerted effort, to be honest, to not obsess, because my go-to move is to make everything hyper detailed. The harder part for me, that's the safety zone for me. That's like my comfort zone. What's harder for me is actually finding finding brushstrokes which represent what I'm painting on the right, but are not imitations. Like, they're not kind of, you're not, what's the right way to describe this? If I wanted to, I could get down to the pixel level and copy and paste each pixel. But what I'm attempting to do is come up with like meaningful mere representations, kind of energetic brushwork that represents what I'm painting, rather than merely note for note copies. Does that make sense? Easier said than done, but because we have our eyes are trained to see these kinds of differences between what's on our left and what's on our right, we can we're armed with the right stuff to be able to do that. I see some chatter from my speedrun pals who I haven't been checking in with a lot recently because I've had a lot of stuff to do, but when I do something, I like to engage in it fully. But I'm aware that people are speedrunning Zelda, and one of these days I'll get back to that. I've been doing a little bit on the side, not streaming it, but one day I'll get back to it. All right. What we want to do now Here, check it out. Check it out. Check it out. We got to find where that edge is. I don't know where it is, but it's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. That's pretty good. I like this. It's nice and broad. We're going to get our white lights. And whoops, went too far. That's okay. Drag a brush. We don't have a palette knife. That would be cool to have that, so we can like really go meta with this, where we're making a palette knife to make the palette knife strokes, because that's the way he mixes everything. Gets a little roll of paint on the end of that palette knife. Fun fact, if you're interested, I've never painted with a palette knife. I have removed paint from canvases using a palette knife. That's called scraping down, and that's something that might be fun to share one day. Verizon Wireless. I think I got to turn off my phone during these streams, because you never really quite get settled in. Look at that. That's kind of fun. This is the sort of thing that, look, if I ever lost this stream for any reason, like if I ever lost the time lapse, I'd be down to just do this one again, because it's so soothing. It's so abstract. And you're really, it's getting a new appreciation for how you don't have to be quite so. Whoops, I'm getting smaller and smaller. Okay, let's find out where that is and what this is. So yeah, here's a nice one. Look at this dark edge. That's the shadow of his shirt, I'm guessing. Something like that. Got a nice brown here. There's a little bit of that Van Dyke brown. The slightest push in one direction or another makes all the difference. You go the other direction? I don't know. I'll try it. Whoa. So that's kind of cool. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab our highlights because I've learned the hard way that painting white into dark is harder to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our highlights and pop them in. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dun dun. Okay, where's our other highlights? We got some over here. Tap, tap. Tap. There's a highlight that lives right here. Tap. Is that just a discrepancy on the photograph? You know, is it some kind of flaw? I don't know. But highlights here are going to be critical because it shows the glistening nature of the subject. In this case, the subject is paint, and as you know, paint is shiny. It's liquid. It has these kinds of very intense points of light. Even down here, I don't know if we can do it at this point, but you know, we can go. So you can't really paint light into light once it's already there. But you can surround light shapes. So here's our light, dark. All right, don't know what that was. I'm not taking responsibility for it. Look at this hot pink here. Amazing. Let's get that highlight in. Where does it live? Hot pink. Hot pink lives over here too. So, if we're moving beyond O, we zoom out, we find what else we can do. We can grab an edge there, pull our dark through, we can really find out where this edge ends, because look, all this stuff is this maroon, lovely crimson. Is that alizarin? Probably. And some swashes. We're just swashbuckling here. So what do you say? There's not really much we can say about all this because it's so abstract. It's not like, oh, and then this is the tip of the nose. this is all going to be stuff that is hard to talk about. You know, you can't say what it is exactly that we're doing here. But you can might be more, in some ways it's more freeing for the reason that we don't know what it is. In other words, we don't know. It's like, that's a big way to liberate yourself when you're learning how to paint. Is to not see things as though they are. Hang on a sec, what's that? Huh. We don't want to look at things like they are what we think of them as. This is a hard concept to explain, but you know, if you think about what paint on a palette looks like, if you think about what an eyelash looks like, your brain is gonna start going, oh, there's little follicles of hair. But when you really observe eyelashes from a certain distance, you don't see the little follicles. Like here, we don't see follicles. We just see gosh, we really gotta be somewhat careful around those edges. All we're seeing there is one dark shape. So you know, we don't see each individual hair. Sometimes you might see a flicker of eyelash but even that is not, we're not going to see it like a cylindrical shaft of hair. We're going to see it more as like a flicker. So the same thing goes for this. Speaking of flickers, we gotta get this really powering around the corner here. Let's get some highlights. So we'll do them here like this. Doom tap, tap, do tap, doop tap, 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 something like that. Get our blue. A little streak of color that comes down there. Here's a nice highlight. How's that looking? Boy, that's hard work. We're going to do this for another 5 minutes and then take a break. Yeah, all the little shifts there are what's really difficult. And you're going to hear me whining about it for the rest of the day. Let's get in here with this dark and then blast through. It doesn't matter so much where these boundaries live. It's not like when you're hitting the shadows on the eyes or that can really change a likeness. But we have to remember that we're merely pumping in these nice, see? We're surrounding the lights. We're leaving those nice edges. And then when you zoom back, it gives it that look of highlight. So that's cool. I don't really want unknown callers. Mm-hmm. Okay. More voicemails, more voicemails, more voicemails. Off to voicemail. But so there. The trick here is just hitting that with the right amount of, we can even zoom in here and break these pieces up. See? Okay. Pretty good. Speaking of voicemail, Montgomery, Alabama. Can't wait to get allied financing on my business's side. The Pepsilorian has a rocket launcher. Just wait till you see what I have. Oh boy. Nice. How is that powered, Faye, if you're out there? That's cool. If you're watching, love to learn more about how you built that. Let's get rid of this edge here. I don't know why that's even there, but alizarin, crimson. Bobby Ross. Good for him, that he's had his another 15 minutes. Because I just think it's great to know that the younger generation can get in on the joy of painting as well. So, one of these days I'm going to really need to study up on digital paintbrushes, because the learning curve is, like everything else, it's super steep. But I'm not really innovating. Like, if I paint white into dark, I want to be able to float an impasto of a light shape on top of a dark. So far, that's not possible from what I've seen. All right, we're at our break point. It's really getting down to be that kind of we're going to do another 10-minute break. Here, let's do this. We do color overlay. We can choose. We're the creator. How about that? We're the creator. And then we're going to take our text tool and we're going to put in our 11:13 Eastern. Do another 10-minute break, and then that'll be that for breaks today. I'm not even on here. That's interesting. Where am I? Here I am. Nobody missed me. I know. All right, let's go. LG. I'll be back after these. I don't know. I wouldn't call them messages. Okay. I know we're early. Better early than late? I don't know. So we will begin our final session of the day. Whoa, that was weird. We're going to zoom in. We're going to make sure we're on our paint layer. And we're going to rock and roll. So, how do we do this? All of this can be seen through this lens. This whole pathway here, like, look. We need to put in some accents. Yes, I know these accents are going to look as gray as the rest, but here. We're going to find a nice middle gray, and we're just going to block it in. I know it looks less gray than that, but we're going to use our... See, we put those little strokes down. And when they're down, let's zoom in and get a grip on this. Here's one. Marking in these tones one at a time, taking names. I know you're here, I know you're here, I know you're there. Just like that. And we are gonna find some lightest lights. Weird. Excuse me for that. Whoa. Allergy season coming at me. There's going to be more. I'm going to have to turn the mic off. It's funny how this turned out to be probably the most challenging piece of this painting. Some of that palette knife vibe here. I've never understood why in the winter time or in the fall, what are the allergies? There's no, there's no pollen falling out of the trees, is there? Is it just crumpled leaf pieces? I mean, what's, not sure what happens there. All right, how about we focus, keep our eye on the prize here. Oh, weird. Huh. Oh, I see. I see what's happening here. Face to face. Lots going on this palette, particularly in the titanium white department. Oh boy. Interesting how dark. Even though those look light, they're darker than you think. Longer than you think. Longer than you think. There's a great, in my opinion, it's great, Stephen King short story. It may even be like a Richard Bachman short story, his alias. But it's called The Jaunt. Now, anybody heard this? Read it, seen it, heard it, read it. It's basically like in the future. Oh my gosh, look what I didn't do. Years and years in the future, when people have learned how to time travel, it's almost like it's like a modern day inventor story for some of it. It's like explaining how in the future they learned how to kind of fold space and move from one portal to the next. And for some of the book, so basically it kicks off and they're in like a airport waiting room type environment, but instead of it being an airport, they're jaunting like off-world. They're going, no, maybe they're not. It's not about space. Sorry. They're headed to they're flying somewhere, but they can now fly in seconds because of this technology. And the kid is wondering, they're sort of watching people board these flights, which are known as jaunts now instead of flights. They're not flights, they're jaunts. But there's a child with his father in the waiting room. And the kid's asking questions like, how does this happen? Why do we have to do this? Like, you basically you have to be gassed. You have to put a mask on, which, it's like the equivalent of a seatbelt. Not a seatbelt. It's like the rule is you just have to wear a mask, and it pumps sort of. Oh God, what am I saying? It pumps like a sedative gas into your lungs, and you sorry folks, I'm world's best storyteller here. When you get this sort of sedative, you are oh boy, sorry, this is much harder than I thought it would be to do this part of the painting, but I'm gonna try. So not the best time to tell a ghost story, but so the kid's wondering why do you have to why do you have to inhale this gas? Basically what if you didn't wear the gas? And so the father is like, okay, let's talk about this. Basically starts telling this little kid the history of the evolution of this technology by which humans can now travel essentially without moving from one space to another. And the kid's like enthralled with this story, and the story is really enthralling. It's the history of like whoever it was that invented the technology, discovered it, and how he kind of turned the technology, and it started out by he was able to do it on a pencil. The scientist was able to make a pencil warp across the room. And anyway, I'm not going to spoil it in case you ever end up reading it, but by the end of the book, by the end of the short story, the child and the father board this jaunt, and the kid is, I'll put it this way, he's a little too curious. His curiosity is too much for him. And he does not follow the rules. So anyway, I'll leave it to you to either find out what happens or let me know that you don't care about the spoiler. And I'd be happy to tell you how it ends. I like people telling me, particularly with ghost stories, telling me, like, how does it end? Because I'm going to watch it. And I want to know, I want to be prepared so I can compare. So anyway, yeah, very interesting. Bzz. It was almost a perfect match for the tone there, which is surprising because it looks so different. That's a perfect match. You never even see the difference there. This will be darker. Is it just me, or is this super hard to do? I would think, the first bits were easy. It was just really paint by numbers, but now it's like, yikes, this is hard. Let's find out what this shape is. One. Whoa, yeah. Kick start my heart, hope it never stops. Doing our best to keep it happy, keep it fun. Keep it light. New. Bam. Man. I'm like absolutely stuck. Like this. I actually did a portrait once where there was a child painting a canvas, and it was extremely it was a lot like this, with this kind of abstract art. I need to get a grip and move into the next section here. What about this? Take this. See, this is that really, I think, one of the more important parts. When you're seeing all this energetic palette knife work out of Bob's, the hand of the master, you can't ignore it. You gotta take it and use it, okay? That's not bad. Could be worse. You want to take something like this, a dark, and streak it through. You know, we did all of this to rock. I like scary stories like that. Who are the contemporary masters of horror? I mean, not that. I mean, I know that King is still writing, but is there anybody like a descendant of Stephen King's whose works are recommended by the horror fanatics? All of this to rock. Do 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 do. Whoa, yeah. We gotta get in here with one of these darks and just suck it up, hit it. See, I missed that moment. So we'll carve in. Something like that. Interesting. See that? There's a kind of gray. Here's another slash of white, slash of white. Nice little palette tone coming through. And we can use this to kind of streak the white back in and out. See that? I think I went too far with my palette color. Now, I think what's missing here. Oh, Norseworg. Dude, I'm sorry. I don't know how long you were on there. I was just falling into the zone. Thanks for the chat. We got about 20 minutes scheduled left in this, and thank you. Thanks for the... So Norsewerg says, wow, looks like a fun piece to do. Definitely fun. This part was fun at first, the palette, but now it's like, oh God. But painting paint, exactly. I was saying that before, it's very meta. Norsewerg says, great works on your Instagram. Thank you. Thanks for visiting. What brings you here? Are you an artist or just a viewer? Or what brings you to Twitch? And meanwhile, I'll try to get through this morass here. I really gave myself a fun one, but it's not easy. Never is, right? All right, so we're going to hit our darks, our whites. Titanium white, as the master says. No worries, you're whatting along? We being. Oops. Something like that. Do you know anything about digital paint? Because I'm new to this, and I'm wondering why when you paint light into... Like, why can't I do an impasto? I don't know yet why that is, but... I can carve into white paint. I can glaze with dark over light, but I can't seem to... Anyway, you get the idea, I think. And if you don't, no worries. It's I'm going to keep working until I find out. I like to do artsy stuff, but wish to be more dedicated to it. Cool. What's your medium of choice when you are doing the artsy stuff? Or what do you do when you're not doing artsy stuff? All right, look at this. We'll grab this. Let's try and do something like this, where we drag in the darks and then pull our lights through. Let's see if we can do this. I don't know. I mean, this may be asking a lot, but it's almost like you need to paint this, you need to go back and forth like that somehow. I don't know. Not so good. So let's go back in with our brush and say, there we go. Then we can blur this edge. It's kind of cool, right? That'll do it. All right, here we go. Whoops, that was wrong. I don't like to do that, but I had to in that case. I think I just hit like the darkening. I think I just did like a giant burn tool on the whole thing, which would not be necessary. It was kind of gray. Well, thank you also for the follow. Sincere thanks. I'm always hoping to build this into something where people can talk about painting and learn more about painting, and we can all share ideas and learn stuff, or just enjoy the process. So many thanks. I'm going to now take a light and start cracking away at some of these things. See, there's like some extra fun palette knife. It's like he's going, chip, chip, chip with the palette knife down here. You can see that's probably a difficult angle to reach on the palette down there, but when I paint in oils, I use a palette that's sitting on a table, or a rolling table, so I can, if I need to, I can bring it up to the picture. But I never hold a palette. I did maybe once or twice, but landscape in acrylics most recently, but also, okay, so Norsborg says landscape in acrylics most recently, but also into illustrations in everything from graphite to watercolor. Great. What kind of, yeah, love to follow. I like the vibe. Cool. Yeah, you can, if you're interested, you can go back also and see the, like the VODs. I'm trying now, I'm like finally getting a little bit into a habit of streaming these in the mornings, if I can, in the afternoons. And then they're all live streaming to YouTube, so, if you want to go back and see the archival ones, they'll be on there. And then, of course, there are if you haven't seen them, there are time lapses, which are sort of the gateway drug, so to speak. Hopefully, people will be like, whoa. And then maybe that'll grab some dedicated viewers who want to see the rest of the process. But I'm also, I'm not going to jinx any of my big plans, but I do have some plans and for ways that I can make this more accessible, and potentially, I don't know, just sort of grow it. But right now I'm just sort of seeing who likes what. I definitely have to soften that hairline, don't I? I'm not going to do that yet, but so we here we are, painting paint. This is going to be a 2-day process, huh? All right. There's no way I'm going to finish up this painting in the time I've got, but that's okay. I thought I could. I actually thought I was just going to do the background today, but all right. Let's see. What is this stroke here? Get a light. We certainly knocked in the background in quicker time than I thought. But now we're left with a big project. Oh, shoot. So, okay. Look at this. This is one of my favorite parts right here. A little purpley highlight that he's got going there. What else was I wanted to mention? I am pretty new to streaming, maybe 3 or so months. I've been streaming video game speedruns, and then I started to think, well, I'm ready to share some of the art stuff on here too. So I started doing that, and now I've almost completely neglected my speed running, but that's okay. At least my speed running account. So no, it's the same account. I just mean I haven't streamed anything in the speed running department recently. Okay, so see that? Let's get this. Where are you? What region of the world are you writing in from, Norse? Is that an indication that you're from the climes of Scandinavia, or are you more local to where I'm at here in Brooklyn, New York? Paint and paint. Let's get in here and surround our highlights. Yes, Norwegian, based on the West Coast, close to a city, the city of Bergen. Bergen. Well, I won't go into my knowledge of Norway because it's very limited to. Actually, every time there's a new chatter, a new viewer, I'm inspired to do another portrait, and I feel like now I'm like inspired to do portraits of Norwegian people. But more on that another time. There's a big laundry list of people to get through. Cool. I have one painter friend from Norway who was in the Norwegian Navy before I met him. We met at art school. We went to the same art school. He was a bit older than me at the time. He was in his 40s. I was in my 20s. And he had some very funny stories about. He was a man of few words. Ole. Well, I'm not going to out the guy, but he was a man of few words, very good, solid painter, and he still paints. I haven't talked to him really for a long time, maybe since art school, but he had some funny things to say about the Norwegian Navy. He was a fan of Led Zeppelin, and yeah. So that's some of what I know about Norway. The rest of it is probably, I don't know. I get a little bit obsessed with things, and once upon a time I took a deep dive into learning about metal music originating from Norway. And it's been a while since I thought about that stuff, but very interesting metal scene. And I'm sure, and since then, I would say the rest of mainstream kind of media took an interest in that whole genre, and things have gotten, you're probably sick of people talking about that stuff. At least people who are not from Norway, because I know Norway has much more to offer than just Norwegian black metal. But I'm guessing a lot of people bring up Norwegian metal if they're not from Norway. Am I right? I don't know. Or is it just me? Because I just brought it up. I've spent some time in Iceland. I have some very good friends from Sweden, but never been to Norway. And I really I only have that one friend. Well, now two. And is Bergen is Bergen maybe one of the towns I would have read about? I mean, one of the things that I've loved learning about Norway, to brighten the topic a bit here, I was fascinated to learn about those 10th and 11th century churches made of wood. Just mind-blowing. Are there any of those that you've visited, or is that kind of like, would that be like me going to see the Statue of Liberty? Like, I'll get to it one day. No. Or, some other tourist destination so I was just very curious about those, if you have any knowledge. It's a classic Norwegian city, kind of gate to the fjords. Wow. Cool. Have you been to see those, what are they called? The Kirken? I mean, that just totally captured my imagination. Those like wooden churches that have been standing there for hundreds of years, and it's like the North. It's like the Scandinavian answer to what was going on in stone and elsewhere in the 10th century, and so like. It's very clever to use wood in that way. But I'd like to learn more about why they were made, who made them, all that stuff. How they were made. All right, we're zooming out. We're coming in to a finish here. Norseworg, stave churches, yes. I had all about it in architecture class at high school back in the day. Cool. I'll have to do a deep dive and watch some YouTube videos about it. Here's what I'm going to say. We got to continue this one another time. I enjoyed getting to learn a little bit about, having the chat. And I'm going to sign out for now. And then it's a short afternoon, so I can't stream in the afternoon today. But let's continue. And I hope to see you again at the next stream or the next project, but we're on our way. Thank you. Please do. That's awesome. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have you, and thanks for joining. I see let's finish up this palette next time. And then, really, I didn't realize this, but then we're almost done. So we're going to say nighty-night to, or goodbye to YouTube.